in case if you want to flush the audit records from these queues directly to the desk on audit tables, you can use the flush unified audit trail command from the package, which is DBMS audit management package. The person who is executing this package should have audit admin role to execute this package. This is about Oracle Unified Auditing. Moving ahead with roles and privilege analysis in database 12c. So Oracle 12c introduces a new feature called privilege analysis, which is the most awaited feature since a very long time. I should say privilege analysis is used to determine if there are users and roles that have excessive privilege. We have seen in past like it had been a common practice to over-allocate privilege for the sake of simplicity rather than take time and due diligence need to create users and role properly. So now with privilege analysis, we got the tool to analyze legacy accounts and the privilege granted to them. And privilege analysis is the most efficient tool to the user after the fact to determine which privileges the user or the role uses. It captures the privilege as they are used at runtime and generates a report, and these reports can be used to find privileges that may no longer needed, or even generate a script to revoke unused privileges. So you can use a package which is DBMS privilege, DBMS package, which is to capture the entire database or by a specific role or in sys context. So the capture process is governed by the DBMS privilege capture package, and to execute this package, the user must be granted capture underscore admin role. So you can run the job, and after a suitable interval of time to capture the privilege, the two views, there are a couple of other views are there, but specifically the two views you can look at, like DB underscore used privs and DB used unused privs table, to reveal which privileges are being used, and more importantly, which granted privileges have not been used. So that way you can control the privilege allocation onto the various or over allocation to legacy schemas in the database. Audit roles and policies. In database 12c, as I mentioned, there are two new roles have been introduced, which is audit admin and audit viewer. So in order to enforce separation of duties for greater security and reporting, there are two new roles introduced in 12c. The users who have been granted audit and admin role can be used for setup or management of audit trails and policies. Audit viewer can be granted to a user to see the audit results. So the idea to introduce these roles is to provide separation of duty from traditional DBA functions. With database 12c, these two new roles can be used as these roles are not granted to a DBA role. The DBA is not able to alter any audit collections or configuration, and the audited data can only be managed using the built-in data audit management package, which is DBMS audit management package, as I mentioned. And there are three default policies configured and shipped out of box, and each of them can be configured to provide auditing setting for a common audit use cases. Like you can see, Oracle Secure Config particularly takes care of the configuration changes. It moderates all the configuration changes and enabled by default for both the type of auditing modes, mixed or unified auditing mode. And there are two: account management and database parameters. Account management, particularly database users account management, focuses, and administrator parameters focuses about the parameter changes being done to databases. So these are the three default policies configured and shipped out of box for auditing. Moving into the third category, which is monitoring and blocking. So in monitoring and blocking, we have Oracle product called Audit Vault. Particularly, it provides the most comprehensive auditing capabilities and enables detailed information on the events to be captured for reporting and alerting. So while we have seen in the previous slides, the auditing generation is simple and highly automated, but there are other aspects of developing a comprehensive audit plan. Any large deployment for Oracle and non-Oracle databases can produce a great deal of audit data that needs to be consolidated. Secondly, there should be a good practice dictates that the audit data should be transmitted to a remote central location where it is secure from tampering by the individuals whose activities are being audited. And finally, I believe it is important to have a way to efficiently monitor the ongoing stream of audit data to find particular event with security implications and identify problems that need immediate action. So Audit Vault Server is essential for reporting of audit record. It makes use of the best of Oracle technologies such as compression, partitioning, encryption, and privileged user controls with Database Vault inside. Database Vault Server performs consolidation of the audited data collected from the event logs of the Firewall, Oracle and non-Oracle databases, operating system, directories, and other custom sources. So that way you can consolidate audit data from various sources into a single repository for compliance reporting. Like most of the compliance are like SOX and PCI compliance and other regulations, which can help you to identify privileged user activity, entitlements, field login attempts, and other actions performed within the database. The second component is a database firewall. Database firewall is a first line of defense for Oracle and non-Oracle databases, and it consolidates audit data from the databases, operating system, and directories. The beauty of database firewall is it has a highly accurate SQL grammar-based engine to monitor and block unauthorized SQL traffic, because you see that the SQL injections attacks are most frequent than nowadays. So unlike the solutions that leverage regular expression, the database firewall parses the SQL to achieve a level of accuracy required for enterprise data monitoring. So database firewall collects SQL requests from the network using highly optimized network traffic technique, and it captures as much information as possible associated with the query. This includes the grammatical structure of the query, the context attributes such as DB username, OS username, client IP, and other categories like table names and etc. And believe me, all of this work is completed in real time as the network packets arrive, and the comparisons are made for the request against the database firewall policy. So database firewall groups all the SQL requests into a cluster of queries with the same grammatical sense and enables the distillation of hundreds of millions of SQL queries and boils down to the just few hundred, which in turn can be subcategorized by IP address, client program, SQL types, and usernames. So based on this analysis, the database firewall develops the availability to distinguish between the normal and abnormal transaction, and it blocks the transaction or the SQL statement before it reaches the database itself. So in 2012, Oracle has merged these two components into a single product, which is called Audit Vault Database Firewall. So Audit Vault Database Firewall simplifies the collection of audited data, and it's a secure repository for creation of, and it's created for the separation of duties from the database, and it is auditing, and it produces a consolidated report for the alerts on the audited events. It not only collects these events from Oracle databases, but also from non-Oracle databases. That means it is designed for enterprise that wish to collect audited information from hundreds of databases instances and provide a unified policy management and event propagation from a single platform. So that way, we are in the last part of the defense in-depth architecture, which is the other security enhancements. So quickly run through on the other security enhancements, which is particularly the 3 new users have been created. So when you create an Oracle database, following users are, as shown on the screen, are automatically created. The access backup, particularly for RMN backup and recovery operations, SysDG for performing operations with data guard broker or DG MGRL command line interface, and SysKM particularly for transparent data encryption key store operations. Each of these accounts are designated users for new administrative privilege with the same name. So you can create user and grant to that user the appropriate administrative privilege to use when performing daily administrative tasks. So these accounts should not be used in a day-to-day activity. Instead, you should create another user accounts and give these administrative privileges to those accounts. These accounts should be logged by default and should remain logged. And to use one of these administrative privilege, user must exercise the privilege, like connecting as SSDBA. You can use SS backup, SSDG, and SSKM. And another important thing, these accounts cannot be dropped. Of course, definitely cannot be dropped. So Oracle database now supports for SHA-2 crypto network checksum, password verification, and as an option for DBM script are being removed, has access to these tables and can grant access like normal grant procedure to other users. Another enhancement is about unlimited table space being removed from the resource role. So if you are upgrading from 11G to 12C, the user will still have unlimited table space privilege. But if there's a new installation, then it will not get the unlimited part or unlimited table space or unlimited privileges from the resource role. Another is the 12C introduction is real application security. Real application security, which provides a database-centric and end-to-end authorization solution. So you can think of a security control that was once at application layer is now moved to the database layer where the data resides. And since the security control is at database layer, it is created once and used multiple times at application layer. So it reduces the application complexity and development time if you're using real application clusters, and it is more onto that. Apart from what I've said, it is more detail. You can look into the Oracle documentation. Important enhancement, which is the last login time displayed as a part of a SQL Plus banner, and it is also recorded into the data dictionary view, which is a DB underscore users as a last login column. Ability to audit any role. This is an important feature. So starting with this release, you can audit any database roles, including the user created roles. This enables you to audit all system privileges that have been granted to a role. And the benefit of this feature is that it simplifies a single command to audit all activity that has been granted to a role. This eliminates the need to update unified audit policy each time you update the role with new privileges, or when you new database user has been added to the database and granted a role. So the need for changing the policies is not required once you have audit any role privilege. Apart from that, there is the ability to attach roles to program units. So you can now attach database roles to the program unit functions, procedures, and packages. This feature enables you to temporarily elevate the privileges in PL/SQL code without granting the role directly to the invoker of the code. The benefit of this feature is that it increases the security of the application and has enforced the principle of least privileges. So apart from these enhancements, there are other enhancements being made from the EM Enterprise Manager 12C side, which is a patch management, configuration, and change management, which allows you to maintain the sanity across the database environments. Any configuration changes can be stopped or governed by the policies using those enterprise management packs. So in summary,